Hello everyone, it's me, Robin Valentine. I have a story for you. I was on my way to my office cubicle today, holding my coffee, dressed really nicely, when all of a sudden, this rude man runs right into me. Coffee's everywhere, and he doesn't even stop to ask if I'm okay. He just keeps running. I don't know what the big rush was. All I know is that the building started to smell a little and a bunch of my coworkers were dropping like flies. But not me. I'm thriving in this new environment. I mean, I've got a few extra eyeballs, and there are these dog-like creatures with long tongues that have an affinity for attacking the living. But I'm good. I will say I do have an inclination towards killing the members of the STAR team now, but that's just another day in the office for you. A Tuesday, if you will. I believe I touched on this in the last video in my review for The Sadness, which is not considered a zombie film. It is technically an outbreak film or an infection. Resident Evil was my introduction to horror. My grandma was the one who showed it to me. I was like, Grandma, what are you watching? And without hesitation, she was like, oh, sit down. You're gonna like this. I was like, okay. And I sat down, was quite confused with what I was watching, but she was right. I liked it. I really, really liked it. And to this day, zombie films just hold a special place in my heart. They are my absolute favorite genre of horror. And it makes sense also that my grandma showed me Resident Evil because she is a massive fan of zombie films too. She actually was telling me, so she was a kid when Night of the Living Dead came out. Many people consider Night of the Living Dead to be the first zombie film. However, there are other people who say White Zombie, I believe is the name, and I think it came out in the 30s, that's the first zombie film. But the argument there is they were using voodoo to resurrect the dead, whereas a lot of people have accepted the idea that zombies are creatures that eat the living. And Night of the Living Dead inarguably gave us the first look at the modern zombie. My grandma, she told me she was terrified for 2 to 3 months after watching that film. And I guess that trauma turned into an infatuation for zombies in general. It is just so fitting that one zombie lover turned into another. She started a family tree of zombie fanatics. And to this day, because Resident Evil was the first horror film I ever watched, and I love zombie films, it still holds a special place in my heart, even though it is, I would say, not a great film per se. And while I have never played the games, which this movie franchise is loosely based on, I've heard that it differentiates quite a bit from the original game series. Again, I have never played the games, although I do have Resident Evil 2 for PS1, I believe. I'm trying to get through it, but learning tank controls, that's a whole thing. And I'm still trying to work through just learning the controls before I can really jump into the game. Without any further ado, let's jump into our review today. Yay! Right off the back, I have to ask, why did the guy throw the T virus that early on or break the vial? Like, couldn't he have waited till he was closer to exiting the building? I think it would have still had the same effect so long as it was able to enter into the air vents. I just feel like he really didn't leave himself a lot of time there, and that's a big part of why later on in the film, spoiler, it turns out that he ends up getting trapped by the defense mechanism and is also hit with the amnesia. I just think he could have timed it a little better, but that's just me. And of course, it is heartbreaking to watch all the poor little doggos who got trapped. I could care less about the people, but the doggies. Right now, we are on the elevator scene. This one continuously freaks me out.
Push her out of the way! Pull me back inside! Crap! Pull me back inside!
As I mentioned in my review of The Sadness, it is the mundane stuff that truly shakes me to my core, because I just think this could be realistic. The odds of being trapped in an elevator, barely clawing your way out, and then it dropping, yeah, totally exaggerated. Maybe not likely to happen, but I hate that tiny probability that maybe it could. Even if it's 0.01%, that is too much for me. And it is a slow burn because they tease you with, oh my gosh, it's raising, it's raising. Oh, now it's lowering. Oh, or was it lowering then raising? I stopped it a little early, but you know, you think it's going to happen. It doesn't. They're still trying to pull her back in, and then bam, it does happen. We don't get to see it, but I actually think it's more effective because it lets your mind wonder as to how that scene may actually have looked. And that is not a pleasant thought. It is so funny to me that Alice's first inclination waking up from being knocked out is, let me walk around the mansion and explore a little. If it were me, I would have been like, oh hell no. Where are my keys? I'm getting out of here. I don't like this. Maybe I have common sense, or maybe I'm just a scaredy cat. The jury's still out. Another little side note here. I love that Michelle Rodriguez's first line is telling Matt, blow me. She plays such a commanding role in just anything she does. And knowing that she really wanted to be a part of this franchise, that enthusiasm was there. And she, to build on that, told her agent, like, if they make a Resident Evil movie, let me know. I want to be a part of that project. I just think it's cool that she had such a presence in the film, and there was already a respect for the genre, the series. As they're exploring the hive, they come across this area where I want to say that they're water tanks, but it could just be like offices that flooded. And first off, one of those little glass panels is leaking out gushing water, and I just, being the germaphobe that I am, cannot fathom the thought of walking through that water, letting it get on my outfit or uniform, as they would call it. I'm just like, nope, don't know where that water's been. I don't want it touching me. And right before they leave that area, there's just this one lady who is basically up against the glass. She's looking dead. And then right as they walk away, she just Oh! I'm like, that is the cheesiest jump scare, and they don't build upon it. It's just a precursor to, like, there are dead here. It could have been cool if maybe this zombie came back up, like if they repassed the tanks at some point and maybe she gets out. I don't know. I think I'm being a little overly critical here. In this next scene, they're in an area where there's a bunch of different, I'll just call them boxes, cubes. And Alice looks into one of them, and that is our first glimpse at the, what's it called? The Tunger? The Tyrant, you know what? The Slither, the Tongue one. And it is a cool precursor, but even though I've never played the games, I am familiar with the scene that you get to see this monster in the background of a window. He is climbing up. And I thought that was a bit more of an effective teaser towards this enemy, just because you see it, but you don't understand it. Whereas I feel like the movie gives you too much of a glimpse into the villain, and it kind of takes away some of the tension just because you're already developing somewhat of an understanding what it is they're going to be facing later. It is not this quick time event. You get time to familiarize yourself with this mutation. And right after they leave this area, they are in the infamous laser chamber. It is a very memorable kill scene, and I think a lot of it has to do with it is claustrophobic, which is one of those reoccurring fears, I'll say, for myself personally, not being able to escape a tight space. And to add to the tension, these lasers just, they go up and down, they turn into a grid pattern, and it makes it more impactful, feeling like you can't escape the lasers and death is inevitable in this chamber. After they have disabled the Red Queen, now the zombies are coming out. I like the first zombie just because the scene is built well with the lack of understanding from the characters. They don't know what they're dealing with. They want to help her. And that's what leads to Michelle's character becoming infected and trying to help this individual who she doesn't realize is sick. That's what gets the virus into her system. Now it's good movie production, but realistically, it wouldn't just be one zombie coming at you. It'd be the whole horde. You would hear all the footsteps, the dragging. So the odds just this one, it's a precursor to the insanity coming along. It's like, no, it would have been insane out the get-go. Or the gate. I don't know why I said the get-go. Almost immediately now, after this first zombie, the rest of them are coming at them. And you can see the gears turning in the characters' heads. Oh, these people aren't right. I don't believe we can help them. And they are absolutely right to think that. They may not have a firm understanding of what they're dealing with, but seeing as how they're aggressive, a lot of them are clearly dead, broken limbs, missing parts of the face. They're not right. Get out of there. Get out is what I say. Now that they have exited the area with all the different cubes, we get to see that the liquor, that's it, the liquor has escaped from its chamber and what could only be described as a cluster of bad CGI. Even when it was brand new, that CGI was rank. It was bad, and it is so heartwarming to see that the loose remake, Welcome to Raccoon City, or Escape from Raccoon? No, it is Welcome to Raccoon City. Keeps in the theme with terrible CGI bosses. If you haven't seen the final boss from that movie, literally, I know this isn't a review for that film, but maybe we'll review that one. Let me know in the comments. But that is by far the worst CGI I can remember ever seeing. And it was so bad. When it came up on screen, I was like, are we all seeing the same thing? Are we okay with this? Like, do we pay money to see this? It looks like a clip art, like a 3D rendering. I digress. I am not reviewing that film right now. I probably should though. Again, let me know in the comments if you want to see that. Alice is now where the kennels are. We got to see the dogs at the very beginning of the movie. And now they have turned. They are zombie dogs. Because of course, Umbrella, in all their cruelty, they also test on animals. It also reminds me of 28 Days Later. The rage virus was being tested on the poor monkeys. You guys, cruelty free, let's go. Because we don't need zombie animals. We've already seen what happens with zombie animals. You get terrible films like Zoom Beavers, is that the name? I think I repressed that one, actually. I couldn't imagine trying to fight zombie dogs. I'd be terrified to fight regular dogs. That size, that ferocious? No, thank you. But Alice, being the superhuman she is, takes them down in style, mind you. She looked good doing it. I was like, you know what? If ever I find myself in a fight, she would be the person I call to come protect me. It'd be like that. This part is annoying to me. Matt comes across his sister Lisa, and she is a zombie. She's just walking over to him, and he's like, Lisa, is that you? After everything you have witnessed, why would you let her get close to you? This place is just full of creatures looking to attack you all. Do not let her get near you. Okay, I get it. Family, trauma. I'm sure it must be very unnerving to see someone you love now a zombie, but be smart. Don't do it. And why does she approach him so slowly? A zombie would not have hesitated. They would have seen the human, ran up and just taken a chunk out of their neck or something. This is not a gripe with the original Resident Evil film, but rather noting the important lore that was introduced here that was abandoned very quickly later on in the future films. The Red Queen, very specifically says to take down the zombies, you have to basically shoot them in the head or knock them out like crazy, knock them senseless in the head.
Severing the top of the spinal column or massive trauma to the brain are the most effective methods.
You mean shoot them in the head?
And later on in the franchise, as you'll see, just shooting them in the shoulder can now take down zombies. It's ridiculous because you wouldn't even be able to take down a regular human with just a gun wound to the shoulder. Makes the zombies less intimidating later on. Whereas early on in the franchise with this film, there is the fear that if you don't get them in the head, they're going to continue to move. So you have to be a great shot or be willing to do a close-up combat just so you can knock them in the head. And that is tension, I think. Maybe I'm a bit cynical, but I think the scene with Kaplan is overly dramatic for all the wrong reasons. This guy does a fake out. I can't say the word because this video will get demonetized. A with-eyed fake out. Is that allowed? Did I say too much? You hear the gunshot. You're assuming he used his last bullet to not have to deal with the zombies by himself. And instead it turns out, oh no, he just went ahead and wasted his last bullet on the one zombie closest to him. And it's just like, my dude, did you look around at any point before you decided, oh, I might use this one last bullet as my way out? Doing ooh-eyed. I'm sorry, I hate that I can't say the word, but just thinking about my future monetization status. Ugh. But he ends up getting out of there scot-free despite all the zombies who were chasing him. It just felt, to me, unnecessarily dramatic. I've got mixed feelings about this. They're in the lab, it's supposed to have the antivirus, and while they're there, Spence remembers he is the one who was trying to steal the T-virus and let it out into the building. It is cool that our bad guy gets his comeuppance because he is bitten by a zombie while holding our group hostage. Well, not hostage, but at gunpoint. But it's just like, you mean to tell me that the zombie was there the whole time, never once came up, waited till that perfect moment to attack? That's not realistic. Nope, you would have heard some sloshing with all that water pulling up. Something. I feel like I'm being such a cynic right now, but this is why we do these reviews, because we are being, honest. And while this film holds a special place in my heart, I will not for a moment try to say that it is some amazing film. Now that Spencer is in full bad guy mode, he has locked our group in the lab and somehow has managed to make it to the train without running into any zombies. It is implied that he was able to get there quite quickly, which, considering how many hordes they ran into the whole time they were down there, I feel like realistically he should have been attacked way before he got to the train, and he shouldn't have been able to get there as quickly as he did. But to add to our poetic justice, he gets attacked by the liquor.
Oh my god.
Right as he's about ready to board the train. He's still pulling out the antivirus, but it comes out and it kills him. And just from that one attack, or one person it has consumed, the liquor has already mutated towards becoming a bigger, and I would say more aggressive tyrant. After leaving the lab, our group is now back at the trains. Much like Spence, it's like they were able to get there without running into any enemies, any of the zombie hordes, which I'm just like, how? Y'all had so much trouble in the beginning, and now as the film is ending, you're just able to go there like nothing? It's not realistic, but it is fun. And as Alice is about to grab the case with all the antiviruses, Spence comes back as a zombie. And he's of course trying to reach for her. I would have thought maybe having been attacked by the liquor, if he was able to come back, it should probably be as a tyrant, I would think. But instead, he seems to be quite the ordinary zombie. And now we begin our fun sequence of the tyrant, or the liquor, attacking them while they're on the train. Unfortunately, during that debacle, Michelle's character Rain succumbs to her infection. I believe that it was just too far along. It was never implied that the antivirus didn't work. Just too little, too late. So while they're dealing with the liquor, they are now trying to actively fight off Rain's character. And it is very exciting way to finish the film. They unfortunately have to kill Rain, but they are able to pin the liquor by its tongue and open a trap door under the train, which basically the liquor is now being dragged. And I'm assuming because of the friction, it causes the liquor to catch fire on the train tracks. And now it has been defeated. Alice and Matt have managed to escape the hive before the Red Queen shut it down. They have the proof they need to take down Umbrella to prove of the unethical testing that they were doing. And as they're talking, Matt is now succumbing to his wounds because the liquor actually scratched him while he was on the train. And he is now turning into a nemesis. Right before Alice can administer the antivirus, the Umbrella Corporation comes in and they take them both away. Matt is entered into the Nemesis Project while Alice is put away into a separate facility room. That way they can monitor her vitals and just see where she's at. She wakes up basically in an abandoned hospital. And when she exits, it is like War of the Worlds outside of the building. Just absolute chaos. There's cars everywhere, and again, I love this movie so much. It is a fun time, but how is there a newspaper article talking about the dead walking again?
You serious?
The zombie attack happened quickly. Who would have had time to write a whole news article about this dead coming back and walking? No, nobody would have had time to write it. Nobody would have had time to print it, let alone distribute it. And furthermore, who would have had time to read it? Y'all are busy trying to not get eaten. Who's gonna stop to be like, oh, let me look at today's paper. Oh my gosh. Okay, everyone. That was my review for Resident Evil, the original film, not the remake, which, like I said 2 times now, I think. Let me know if you want to see me review that film. It could be fun. It was definitely an interesting watch. I'm actually kind of thinking, what if I were to just review the entire Resident Evil series? Because truthfully, I have seen every single entry. As bad as they are, there is just a certain quality to them. It's like trash TV, but movies. They're not great, but they are fun, dumb entertainment nonetheless. We will see what I decide, but I think I want to continue making movie reviews. It's fun, and it gives me something to do. My name is Robin Valentine, and if you'll excuse me, I have some members of the Star team to go kill now. Bye-bye!